welcome our guest, welcome Mr. Mark Rossmore, and to the stage and to the mic, and we're going to kick it off right now. Mark, take it away.
Here we go. A sight to behold, so sleek and so strong, so beautiful, dancing to the wind's song. Tall as the sky, with a spirit that can be bold, she guided me forth to places unknown. Traded and fought. I had many wives, but she bore my heart. Until one day the horizon grew dark, a jealousy growled and the sky came apart. She and I fought a relentless war. I gave all I could, but the sea wanted it all. A flash lit the sky high above her mast. Night and day as she shuddered from the glass. There'll still be my life. Upon the swells on my hopes warm for me, lit by the flames of my stricken lady. As the night lingered, she slipped down to her end, leaving me with only my waning strength. Just then I felt something rise from the deep, a figurehead floating within arm's reach. I held on to her tight until dawn broke and unveiled the ship, drawn by a smoke. Until the end she'll be at my side. The darkness, she'll be my light. Until the end, she'll be at my side. Into the darkness, she'll be my light. How you guys all doing?
Oh, what was that, Mark?
How you guys all doing? Thank you,
That was
for having me
amazing.
here. Thank you.
That was
Appreciate it,
amazing.
Jen.
That was amazing. We've got two Marks on screen, so this is going to be an interesting look. Interesting look from a production standpoint. This is really cool. There's two Marks in the show.
And we have clapping in our Facebook audience from Leo Mendez. He says, song rules.
Awesome, man.
Wow. Wow. Very cool. Very cool. Thank you, Leo. So, hey, can you tell us, what was that song about? What's the name of that song?
So my songs in general, they all tell stories. I try to tell stories for music. And that one is, and along with the stories, I like to tell each story in a literal sense, but also in a metaphorical sense. So that song is literally about a man and his ship traveling around the world, having adventures and going through hard times. But the metaphor is that it's about a man in his relationship with the woman he loves and how she stands by him even during the darkest times of their lives.
Well, that's awesome. And how
Nice. And that song is called Until the End?
Correct. That's Until the End. It's the title track off my third album, Until the End.
Cool.
Yep.
How long ago did you write that?
Oh, it's been a while now. That came out in 2011. It's been a minute.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. So,
Yep.
so you actually write music under the banner of steampunk, the genre of steampunk. Can
Right.
you tell our audience who's watching, what is steampunk music?
So the short version is you ask, what if? You look at history, look at the past, and you ask, what if? Like, what if, World War I was fought with giant robot, samurai warriors or something like that. You just kind of, you look at history and you throw in some weird technology in there that didn't exist back in those times, and you just kind of put your own spin on it and you have fun, Like I have a song about the Civil War where, instead of being fought with, sailing ships, it was fought with airships, for instance. And I just, have fun with it. And there's really no rules to it, not really, And like kind of like the predecessor of steampunk was Victorian science fiction. So if you ever read Jules Verne or H.G. Wells, that's like the grandfather of steampunk. But the difference is that those guys were actually writing in the Victorian era and the the Edwardian period and all that with H.G. Wells. So, but that's like a good primer would be 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea or War of the Worlds, that kind of thing.
And I've heard through my various concerts that I've seen you at and seen at Dragon Con that steampunk includes a measure of time travel and a measure of technology that is of antiquity. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh yeah, like I said, you take history and you twist it in ways that where you introduce technology that wasn't there. Like for instance, I have another song called "Steam Powered Samurai," which is about the Boshin War in Japan, and it's about that war being fought with giant land walking robots, which were obviously not a thing back in the 1860s when the actual war happened, there's also an element of alternate history in general. Like it may not have a science fiction technology element to it. It may just be plain old alternate history. Like for instance, I have another song that's about Jack the Ripper, where Jack the Ripper, I postulate whether he or they may have been a woman actually. It's just you have fun with that kind of stuff. And like I said, there's no real rules to the storytelling.
I've noticed that at the very beginning of the song, there might have been like a little technical hiccup.
Oh yeah.
So how's the guitar sounding? Or it's not actually a guitar; it's a ukulele, right?
Yep, it's a baritone ukulele. I started when I started playing music. I started on bass, and I do have a guitar, literally hanging behind my head, and I do play it, but it's not my favorite instrument. I do like it, but for live stuff, I love the ukulele. I got into it about 10 years ago, 10, 11 years ago, and started this one right here. It's a baritone ukulele, and it's tuned kind of like a guitar minus the low E and A strings. You cut those off, you got a baritone uke. So all the chords and all that work the same, but it's got a nice warm tone compared to other regular ukes like this one.
Well, I'd love to hear you play some more, but before we do, Jennifer, do we have any more comments from the Facebook or Zoom crowd?
Well, from Facebook, we do have our first comment is from Helen, and she says, "Yay, been waiting for this." So Helen's excited.
Awesome.
Thank you, Helen. Thank you.
Awesome.
And then Leo asked a question, and he said, "Where did you film that?" But then another Facebook member said, Mary said his office. Is that true?
That is true. This is my home studio office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Awesome.
We're all trapped here. Might as well be trapped with fun music gear,
Yeah.
So Mark, what's the next song you want to do for us?
Okay, this next one is off of my newest EP. It's called the EP is called The Gears of Change. There's 8 songs on it. And it's all the songs are about people struggling through life and you're trying to find a better way for themselves, trying to find their happiness and all that. This next song, specifically, like I said, steampunk has a lot to do with airships. It's a popular theme throughout steampunk. And one of the things with airships is that they, as far as their actual physical flight characteristics, of course, there's the hydrogen or the helium that's inside them that actually lifts them up. But if you have only that, they'll, basically zoom off into the atmosphere and, pop and eventually crash to the ground. So they have to weigh off. It's a process called weighing off, where they balance out the lift from the gas with the weight of the structure itself, the weight pulling them down. And so this song is called Way Off, and it's about how in life, we encounter bad things. Whether it's bad relationships, bad experiences, whatever they are. But, in order to appreciate good things in life and move forward, you have to have those bad things. You can't just have good or bad. You have to have both to find that balance in life. So this song is called Way Off. Take a seat wherever you like. No judgment here at this midnight hour. Your worries can't be seen in the night. Leave space for your neighbors as you like for yourself. For these months, leave room to spare. Did you feel as if you were alone? We've all felt heavier than there. We'll never take flight. Remain here as we always were. The past is never as heavy as we think, and its lessons keep us upright and firm. A head of steam, and the captain's giving us a go. It's up to you what we do now. We stay or find where the winds blow. Whatever happens before tonight, it's you who are right on your own. A journey's first steps are often the bravest and exact. We'll never take flight and remain here as we always were. The past is never as heavy as we think, and its lessons keep us upright and firm. It's time to get started. New lamps below, all of them uncharted. Feel the engines rumble beneath your feet. Snatch victory from the cloud of defeat. It's all just balance. Strike your balance. If we cling to our burdens, we'll never take flight and remain here as we always were. The past is never as heavy as we think, and its lessons keep us upright and firm. If we cling to our burdens, we'll never take flight and remain here as we always were. The past is never as heavy dreams, he was a private son.
Woo!
Thank you, thank you.
That was awesome.
Thanks, man.
Jen, what did you think about that one?
That was really, really cool. I'm not myself familiar with steampunk. It sounds to me a lot like metal, rock, and a little bit of Celtic music. It's really, really interesting.
That's the funny thing about steampunk. There's, I actually had a site called steampunk-music.com, and it lists steampunk bands from around the world. And the funny thing about steampunk is that there's no rules as far as the sound of it. There are steampunk metal bands, steampunk hip hop, steampunk pop rock, steampunk cabaret punk. I mean, there's so many different bands out there, and that's what makes it magical. It's like everyone finds their own way to tell the steampunk story, you know. Like for instance, I have a song about New Orleans. It's about a vampire hunter, and being, you know, I like New Orleans. I've been there many times, and I love the city and all that, and I like vampires. So like, okay, that song, I'm gonna throw some Zydeco influence into it because it's set in New Orleans, you know. You know, this song that I just played, of course, is more of a straight up rock song. But like the first one I played, Until the End, I wanted to go more like a sea shanty kind of thing going to it. So there's just no telling how many different kinds of genres there are, musical genres within the scope of steampunk music. You know, if whatever genre of music you like, you could probably find it in the steampunk umbrella.
That is really cool, Mark. And one of the questions, I see that we have a question online. Jen, you want to talk about that?
So Leo, he said this is his question phrased better. Where did you film the video for Until the End?
Oh, that was filmed in Pensacola. We lived in Pensacola for 10 years. That's a video where at the beginning of it, I'm flying a World War II biplane. I actually took a ride in a real biplane, and I'm flying around Pensacola. And in the video, the airplane crashes. Obviously, I'm still here. Didn't crash for real, but I edited it that way. And you know, I wandered throughout Fort Pickens in Pensacola, which is actually a fort from 1812, and the beaches around it and surrounding terrain, and use that for the backdrop of my video. And it's a beautiful area. We really miss living there.
Well, Mark, word on the street is that you also can fly. Is that true?
That is true. I do have my pilot's license. Yep, and I love it.
And what are you flying? Are you flying Cessnas or?
Yeah, just Cessnas. I haven't flown in a while because it's just it's gotten a lot more expensive than it used to be. But I miss it. I go up as often as I can. You know, sometimes I get offered rides, and I'll never turn down a ride. You know, like a few years back, I got to ride in a B-17 bomber. I've flown in that Stearman biplane from that video. I've flown Yak 52 Russian trainer aircraft. I mean, I'll say, if you offer me to go, I'll go. I ain't gonna say no to that.
We've got another comment online. This one's from Tom, and he says, "I'm new to steampunk, so thank you for opening up my music world." And I think that's fantastic.
Oh, great! It's a wonderful world to be in, man. There's so much to offer inside the steampunk universe.
We want to say thank you to Tom for writing that comment. Thank you for Leo. We've got some vintage video of you, and I wanted to play this clip for the audience, and then get your commentary about what the audience will just have looked at. So check this out. This is Mark Rossmore at Rail. Can you guys see that?
Yep.
Contract killer for 25 years, and not regardless, mafia peers, and back on the broad, you'll take any job as long as it's pulling the trigger. Spots the airship up at his bow, a luxury ship of a passenger hall. Went to the site to his twinning Mike, ready to tear the hull. One bullet in each engine, one bullet in each cannon, one bullet for the captain. All
So, Mark, what was that song and what was that venue that you were playing in? A very industrial look to it.
Oh, that venue, I'll go on about the venue first. That was the Gold Coast Railroad Museum down there in Miami by Metro Zoo. And that's a fantastic place. If you guys ever get a chance to go down there, regardless of what event's going on, it's a fun museum, a lot of history there, a lot of cool trains and things. And just good to walk around, spend an afternoon there. And it's a great time, especially if you have kids. I mean, my daughter loves that place. As far as the event, that was an event that went on for 2 years down there. It was called Rail. They had it for 2 years. Unfortunately, they didn't have it this past year or so. But it was a steampunk event. It had a lot of great vendors and artists, and of course musicians too. That myself and a bunch of other bands played there. It's a great time and an amazing venue. I mean, just the way they trick it out. I mean, you're playing steampunk, Victorian or Edwardian era music in front of these train cars from the late 1800s and early 1900s and all that. It's really cool, awesome venue.
Well, Mark, I'd ask you to perform one more. If you've got another one for us, we'd love to continue the concert.
Well, I'll put it up to you guys. Do you want something upbeat? You want something a little or more down tempo? What would you like?
I kind of want to stick with the up tempo. Let's go for it.
Okay. All right. So this is one that I usually use to close up my sets, but this one is a song dedicated to hardworking people around the world. Throughout, as you work your 9-to-5 jobs, when the world's not being destroyed by a virus, you're working your normal 9-to-5 jobs. You go to work and people, your bosses and all that expect a lot from you and expect you to look a certain way, act a certain way, doing all that. Well, but on the weekend, you're back to who you are. You are, you can be yourself. And especially at conventions, like you mentioned earlier, Dragon Con and other conventions that are around the country, that sci-fi convention, all that, where people get to let their nerd flag fly, so to speak, and they get to just be themselves and be around the people who love the things they love. So this song is dedicated to them and to the weekend in general. This is called Mechanical Masquerade. Our masters down to sleep, luring them far away from the secrets we keep. From shops and factories, the machines creep away, the ordinary devices of an industrial age. Presses, pressures, and drills make case for the scrap yarn way on the hill. Locomotives whistle to all your meals, off of our racks. So we dance into the night, a mechanical masquerade. Come brothers, come sisters, no need to be afraid. We're gleaming machines, full of shadows and dreams, alive in the firelight of a mechanical masquerade. The air fills with the pounding of boiler drums. Oil's consumed by the gallon like rum. The earth beneath trembles from an iron vaults as metal meets metal in the steam-driven ball. A wave of pressure built up inside, released now that our true selves have no need to hide. We're so much more than the sum of our parts. Until the morning there's life in our hearts. So we dance into the night, a mechanical masquerade. Come brothers, sisters, no need to be afraid. We're gleaming machines full of shadows and dreams, alive in the firelight of a mechanical masquerade. So we dance into the night, a mechanical masquerade. Come brothers, come sisters, no need to be afraid. We're gleaming machines for the shadows and dreams. We're live in the bright light of a mechanical masquerade. So we dance into the night, a mechanical masquerade. So we dance into the night, a mechanical masquerade.
Woo!
Thank you.
Awesome.
Wow,
I'm clapping.
awesome.
I am clapping for the audience that is watching you. And what is so cool is that Eric just wrote right before the end that the first song he heard was Louisiana Sunrise.
Okay.
Thanks for that comment, Eric. That's
Yeah.
really cool.
If we got time, I could play it up for him.
Oh yeah, man, we've got time. This interview is gonna roll. We have been so fortunate to have Mark Rossmore as our featured guest today on ArtServe Live. Jennifer, do you see any questions live?
Yes, we do have a question from Gail.
Okay.
He wants to know curious as to what provided inspiration. Trying to figure out that question. I guess which artists give you inspiration is what she is asking.
So for years and years, I've always been a fan of people who try to bend sound and do new and different ways. So I love, for instance, Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails. I think what he does is amazing as far as his sound design and all that. He's a huge inspiration of mine. Let's see. I love film soundtracks. I love like Cirque du Soleil, for instance, is actually a pretty good influence on me because of just how many different kind of sounds they incorporate into every single show. It's not just guitar, bass, and drums. It's okay, I'll throw in a cello and throw in all kinds of instrumentation into it, make it sound different and exotic.
Absolutely.
I'm very much inspired by nationalities. Like for instance, I like Middle Eastern music. I have a couple of tracks on some of my albums that are Middle Eastern influence. So I have darbuka and zills and other kind of instrumentation on there, and using Middle Eastern scales and things. Let's see, specific artists. I mean, Stabbing Westward is a huge influence on me as far as their production, because I like guitar, bass, and drum bands, but I always like bands that add something more to it. And that's what I liked about Stabbing, is that they incorporate the electronic and the industrial elements in general into their music.
That's really, really cool. We've got a bevy of comments from Tom to Gail to Cindy, and we're going to get to those right away. I just want to remind our audience that you are watching ArtServe Live. Now stream this, where you can watch, laugh, learn, and share. And ArtServe Live is happy to present today Escape the Clouds with Mark Rossmore. And Mark has put out 3 EPs. Mark has put out, he's working on his 4th, which is fantastic. This is a picture of Mark playing at ArtServe. Mark has played Open Mic Tuesdays at ArtServe. He's played Red Eye, the live music rock show. He's really been active at ArtServe. Your hosts today are Jennifer, our online producer. Hi, Jen. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. My name is Ed King. I'm marketing manager over at ArtServe. And if you like this original programming, if you want to see more original programming, I'd ask you to please go to artserve.org/give-now and help us advance the arts for social good. Head over to artserve.org and help us maintain this original programming. And with that, we'll get right back to Mark Rossmore. There we go. I got the right slide. Mark Rossmore from Escape the Clouds. And we were talking, Mark, about some comments that we have from our audience. Jennifer, what do you have for Mark?
So Tom says, what's the history behind the guitars hanging on the wall? Do they have any special meaning to Mark?
Yeah, I have a few of them. So I wish there was some kind of fantastic special story. I mean, I could tell you where I got each of them. Each one is special to me. Like this one I bought in Hawaii. This ukulele over here. This one I just have sent on, Epiphone Les Paul up here. I said, the guitars are overall, they're special to me because I use them to make all my music. As far as why I hang them, well, there's only so much floor space. Got to go vertical and happen to have a room with high ceilings. So.
So I have a comment or a question from Cindy. She says she's been to that museum during a steampunk festival.
Yeah, that's probably real.
Loved it. What year were you there?
It was 2017 and 2018, both those years. And I mean, it was an all-day festival. I think it started at 10 a.m. in the morning, I think, and went on till 10 o'clock at night. So, we may have crossed paths, which would be wonderful. But it's a pretty big venue too.
So there's one more question from Tom. He's asking, and I've got it right here. Tom is asking, what drives Mark creatively?
Well, like I said, multiple things. First of all, like I said, I love telling stories. That's my jam. I love, I've written a bunch of short stories and I do nonfiction writing as well. I love telling stories in whatever medium I can. And you can see also my music videos and stuff. Each one has a story to tell. But, oh shoot, my brain just went blank for a second there. I think there's a lot of social consciousness in my work too. Like I have songs about LGBT rights. I have songs about racial rights. History is unfortunately filled with many dark spots, and I look at those sometimes. Like for instance, my song about a female Jack the Ripper is actually a story about Victorian women's rights and the fact that women in the Victorian era in England did not really have any rights, property rights, that kind of thing. So it addressed those things. I have another song called Lady in Waiting, which a fantastic vocalist and cellist named Unwoman. Her real name is Erica Mulkey, but her stage name is Unwoman. She's a fantastic steampunk artist, and I was very fortunate to do vocals on that. And that's a song that deals with LGBT rights, right, in the Victorian era. So and I have songs like my new album. My fourth album is coming out now. I've got 3 albums out and 3 EPs, and I'm working on my 4th album. And that album has to deal with light subjects like war, religion, science, lighthearted stuff like that.
The usual.
Yeah.
Well, Mark, a lot of people, you're talking about Unwoman, and a lot of these artists from Dragon Con and other places, Rail, are pretty obscure. But I want you to know that I do have an Unwoman sticker on the back of my computer, and I've always been thankful that you turned that artist onto me, and she's been very influential.
Oh, she's amazing.
And speaking of influential, we want to go back in time a little bit. We have some vintage Mark Rossmore to show the audience.
Are we time traveling?
We're going to do a little steampunk, as I've been told by you. Steampunk is known for time travel. So I'm going to pull up a video, and I want you to tell us all about it once it plays. So, Mark, what's that about?
Hey, was that Ed King in that video too? Oh my goodness, he's a legend. Yeah, that was what, 2004 or something like that. Yeah, it was
a life ago, indeed.
It feels like it.
You were rocking a ponytail at the time. I did notice that. I thought that was very compelling.
Yes, I had far more hair back then.
we have some more vintage Mark Rossmore for the audience to see him before the steampunk days. And here's another one from Musadora. That was a really intense look that you gave the camera there, Mark.
I know, right? I'm going to kill you. Yeah, no, that was good times, man. I love playing it. I love playing with you guys. And Musadora takes me back. Wow. Yeah, that was. I love the songs you wrote and all that. You know, that you guys wrote as a collective, man. That was just phenomenal. I mean, it's really atmospheric and dark and grooving, and it was awesome.
Well, we've got one more. This is something that people rarely see, and this goes back to your concert at ArtServe during a sound check. And so people rarely get to see this part of the concert.
Can you turn down the backing tracks in the monitor a bit?
So, Mark, you want to tell us a little bit about the sound check?
And that was for the live music rock show we did. Was it 2017? And I think it was April we did it.
That's right, 3 years ago.
Yeah. No. Oh, wow. It's been 3 years. Yeah, but that was a good time with you guys. And we had, was it the Sea Monsters played too, right?
Sea Monsters played. We had a couple rappers on stage. We had Chris K on stage.
Yeah, that was a fantastic showcase of just Florida local music, and that was amazing that you guys were able to put that on and just showcase artists from so many different genres of things. That was awesome.
Well, Mark, I was thinking that we might go into a couple more comments and then maybe get another song out of you.
Sure.
Okay, so Cindy asks, where is he going to perform when the world gets back to normal?
Oh, great question. Great question.
I know, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest, I have no idea because I usually perform at conventions, and conventions involve tens of thousands of people in confined spaces. That's not usually a good thing right now. So a lot of the conventions that I'll be applying to and all that, a lot of them are up in the air right now. Like for instance, Southwest Florida Steampunk, where I performed last year, has been pushed back to 2021. So right now, I don't know. I guess we're performing here in my studio for a few months to come at least. But as soon as all this whole thing lifts up, I'm going to be getting back out there. 'Cause I love getting in front of people and talking to people and engaging with people. Just getting the music out there and hearing people's thoughts and ideas on it. And I mean that's the wonderful thing. I know many of the folks listening right now have never been to a science fiction convention or anything like that. And they probably think it's a bunch of guys sitting in a basement looking at comic books or something like that, which is nothing further from the truth. It's a great place for creative people to gather because there's music and writing and art and costuming and all kinds of amazing things going on inside that realm. And you get exposed to so many cool things in there. I mean, Ed, I know you've been to Dragon Con. I've been going to Dragon Con. That's a huge convention in Atlanta. It's like 80,000 people gathered there every Labor Day weekend. I've been going for the past 13 years. Hopefully we're going this year if it happens, but we don't know right now.
Absolutely. And you're the one who turned me on to Dragon Con. And speaking of the other show, SteamCon, that you just mentioned, we do have a clip from you on stage at SteamCon. What year was this? Was this this past year?
Yes, this was September last year.
All right, let's take a look at Mark at SteamCon.
In the name of lights and eggs, set your sails with wide open seas. Settle the anchors on your own beliefs. Cast off the lines that hold you past the horizon comes. Raise your glass.
Fantastic. So those have been clips, but Mark, we're ready for the real thing. Can you give us another song?
Well, I can try. I mean, was it? I know someone requested Louisiana Sunrise. I can definitely do that one.
Yeah, we did get a request. Somebody said that was their first song that they ever heard, and if you want to do Louisiana Sunrise, we'd be all for it.
All right, here we go. This song is inspired by my love of vampire fiction and in New Orleans as a city. About a vampire hunter who has a bad day. Louisiana sunrise threatens to burn me where I stand. I'm unsure along this long river, reckoning's at hand. The waters turn, many the paddles turn, and before the breaking dawn, all limbs on my sweet shanty, I promise I won't be long. 2 days ago I tracked my mark to an old riverside shack. Thought I had a drop on him, but discovered at his back. They dragged me down so fast I thought I'd surely met my end. Instead they dished out Aberdeen and shoved me into one of them. I woke up as the sun died off on my final day. No more man than the creatures I'd hunted only yesterday. The only thought I had in mind was to see you one last time. So I jumped the southbound steamer and prayed to our last the night. Hello, Louisiana sunrise, burns to burn me where I stand. Time on the shore on the long river, reckoning at hand. Water turn, when the paddles turn, and before the breaking dawn, you all live on my sweet shanty, I promise I won't be long. The closer I get, the more I hunger for the strangest things. Not beignets and cigarettes on the side of the cave street. No gumbo, red toothpaste, and quench this evening need. There's only one kickstart crave, with the fine seasoning. Hello, Louisiana sunrise, burns to burn me where I stand. Time on shore on the long river, reckoning and water turn, money the paddles turn, before the breaking dawn. You give all them on my big shanty, I promise I won't be long. Bread I'm on the rocks, stumbling into town, drowning in the people, rushing all around. To your door I make my way, and bound you come outside. On my knees I take your hand and ask you to be my bride. You smile and say the words I'm missing all my life. No small kiss can seal our fate, only a gentle mind. Proud of word I stick my teeth deep inside your throat. Now we're on forever, I will never be alone. Louisiana sunset, can't touch us where we stand. Time will storm on the long evening, I can relax and down, I'm hunger down, be born and twilight gone. You more than my big daddy, and I promise you won't be long.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Very cool, man. Very cool.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for playing that. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
We did get some comments. First of all, Eric was very happy that we did that. So thank you, Eric, for watching. We're happy to do it. And Mark, any comments about Louisiana Sunrise?
Well, thanks. First, thank you, Eric, for suggesting that, man. It's one of my favorite songs to play. And, you know, that's one of those, another one of my songs that's like a self-contained story, you know? Yeah, I try to view almost like each song kind of like a little bit of you know, like flash fiction, you know, like the stories are like 1,000 words or less, that kind of thing, just cram as much as possible into a tight space, you know? 4 minutes and done, you know, story.
Well, you know, we got some clapping emojis from Tom Jones. Eric says that he's clapping online. What about you, Jen? See anything else on there?
So Cindy asks, do you have any pirate con experience? The music reminds me of that style.
Yeah, I'm a fan of pirate music. Actually, I just started listening to this German band called Stormseeker in the past week or so. If you like pirate music, check out Stormseeker. But it's Yeah, I've always been a fan of sea shanties. Like the first song I'll play today was definitely inspired by sea shanties. I've got a few in my repertoire here and there. And I generally love like the whole the 3/4 or time signatures, and that kind of thing, waltzes and shanties and things like that. They're fun to play, and they have a nice groove to them.
Well, Tom Jones had a question. I think that we really need to really need to address, and this is something I think that goes not just from your perspective, but something that cuts across the entire artistic spectrum here. What resources are most needed by South Florida's emerging musicians? And I imagine in this age of isolation that you have some insight into that.
Oh yeah, thankfully I'm very fortunate to be in a position where my day job at the moment has not been affected by all this going on. So I'm very fortunate. But because of that, I'm trying to reach out to other artists and be as supportive as possible. Like I know there's a lot of my friends in the like the steampunk music world, for instance, they're all doing online concerts. Like for instance, my friends in the band Frenchie and the Punk. It's like a cabaret acoustic punk kind of thing. Like I said, Frenchie and the Punk is their name. They're fantastic. And they've been doing live concerts every Wednesday. And, of course, they're still selling their merch online, but they're also, doing like tip jars and that kind of thing, like virtual tip jars, where if you go watch the show or you subscribe to their Patreon, you can donate to their cause and keep them going, because they and so many other bands have lost, thousands upon thousands of dollars of potential income over the next few months, I know bands that are like this band, The Cog is Dead. It's a steampunk band out of DeLand, Florida, and they're a great steampunk rock group. I think they're talking about doing an online concert and, like selling tickets for it, so to speak, be a, kind of this kind of thing, but like I said, selling tickets just to, cover what they would have, earned, if it hadn't been for all of this. So, I mean, in general, buy their merch, spread the word about them, share their music. If you're gonna buy their music, if you listen to their stuff, Spotify is okay, but artists don't make much off Spotify. It's like a pittance. Go to whatever online music store you want, or directly to the band site, and buy their albums directly from them. Don't go to Spotify, because you stream a song on Spotify from a band 1,000 times, it'll make like $1 from it or whatever. Some ridiculous pittance. Just go out there and support the band as much as possible.
I can tell you that the band that you mentioned, Frenchie and the Punk, you introduced me to them in Dragon Con, and I do wear their shirt around town.
Nice.
I'm happy to support this local band, and I'm happy to support you too, Mark. And on that note, where can people buy your merch? Where can we get your CDs or anything else that you might have?
My main site is escapetheclouds.com. And I'm also on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, the usual, the big three, under just Escape the Clouds, @Escape the Clouds. We'll get you there. I got my I have merchandise on Bandcamp as well. I do make my own merch. Like, I know there's a lot of steampunks that are really big into making things, like the great leather workers and, costume designers and all that, making these elaborate outfits and equipment and all that. And while I do make some of my own stuff, like these goggles and other things, my main thing has always been computer design. So like I have a 3D printer, so I design things like, this airship I did, for instance, it's a musical shaker that you can use for producing music. And of course, shaped like an airship, brings a little stand and that kind of thing.
Can you shake that again?
Yeah.
That is really cool. And you do that with a 3D printer?
Yep, I make them all at home. I design it and make it at home.
We have a card at the end of this show that asks people to pitch us their ideas for shows, and I'm going to do a reverse, and I'm going to pitch you an idea for a show. Why don't you show the rest of our ArtServe people in another workshop, like how to use a 3D printer to make 3-dimensional pieces of their work? I mean, I think that would be fantastic.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'd be down for that.
Yeah, and maybe you could use the airship as a concept.
Absolutely. I mean, that's. A lot of people are intimidated by, okay, how do I get into leather working? How do I get into all this, all the tools and all that? And that's one thing that kind of always had me shying away from that. Like I've dabbled with it, but it's not really my thing. Whereas computer design, that's what I've done for 20 years, was the graphic design and web design, that kind of thing. So I'm good with Photoshop and such. So I'm not afraid of computers is what I'm getting at. So it allows, 3D printing allows me to, you know, take an idea in my head and make it an actual real thing, you know, that people can play with and hold and all that. Like for instance, like another thing I made, I don't know if you can see it on here. This is a pendant that I designed where it has interlocking gears, but the gears can actually rotate inside.
That is, and
Oh, that's awesome.
You made that on a 3D printer.
Yep.
That is absolutely cool. That is so cool.
And you know, and when you're, you know, you're at a show, you're at a convention or a concert, whatever, you're selling you're selling yourself, you're promoting yourself. You know, people want to buy something they can't get anywhere else. You know, they want to buy something unique. You want to take home something that's uniquely, you know, uniquely yours. You know, and it's a great way to create that. You know?
Mark, that is so impressive. We're gonna do a lightning round of questions with you, but before we get to that, I want to ask the audience to please submit your questions to Mark Rossmore from Escape the Clouds. I'd ask you to write on Zoom, write on Facebook, right here in the comment section. Mark, please give us one more. I think we did an acoustic song before. Maybe we go out our last song with something soft and touching. What do you think?
Let's do that. Okay. I am down for that. So this last one, this is a song. Again, like I said, really early in the interview, like my songs have several levels sometimes. Like this song is on the surface about the Hindenburg disaster of 1937. And it's not just about the disaster itself, but specifically about the people who survived it. So that's specifically what it's about. But in general, it's just about, you know, people going through what we're going through right now, people going through 9/11, that kind of thing. And you're going through this tragic event, and how do you pick up the pieces? How do you move forward from there? You know, so that's what this is about. This is actually a song off my new album. This is my new album is called First Light, and this is one of the later songs in the track list. This is called The End of an Era. Down through the glass we saw a great city, lit by the waning sun. Fine china conversation, pleasant distractions, too late, saw the fires above, and all we could do was run. It's the end of an era, as tangled dreams crash to the ground. It's the end of an era, the sky itself has come down. It's the end of an era, but it's tragedy we all are bound. It's the end of an era, the end of an era. In the flames metal bones wilted away and grown till they were done. Possibilities now casualties, chaos now reality. Was there more that we could have saved? At least those of us that could run. It's the end of an era, as tangled dreams crash to the ground. At the end of an era, the sky itself has come down. It's the end of an era, but it's tragedy we all are bound. It's the end of an era, the end of an era. Counted all that remained and wept for those that fell. Since the wind swept away the ashes in the day that defined our past and our pain. No, we can't stop to toll the bells. It's the end of an era, as we pick ourselves off of the ground. At the end of an era, a new journey's start has been found. It's the dawn of an era when hope can again come around. The dawn of an era that we'll face together. Thank you. Yeah, I think all this time, with all this stuff going on, man, we all need a little hope, and that's what this song is about.
Absolutely, and that's a brilliant and apt viewpoint for the world that we're in right now, and we're really thankful for you. Jennifer, any comments, any questions?
Well, Tom Jones says, thank you for telling such beautiful stories, Mark. The world needs more artists like you.
Oh, thank you, Tom. That means so much. I really appreciate it.
Gail just said, awesome. Eric likes the salt shakers.
Neat.
You got a lot of fans, man.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Leo Mendez said, wonderful song.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And Cindy Waters said, so appropriate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, so I try to write, it's funny how a lot of the, like I said, I pull a lot from the past as far as my songwriting goes, like obviously, the Hindenburg disaster and that kind of thing. But, a lot of the issues from the past carry through to today. A lot of the social issues and political issues and things carry on to today. We're still dealing with things 100 years, 200 years, on. It's unfortunate.
Mark, I have to say that this was our first ever performing artist spotlight, and you really set the bar really high. The bar's up here, and I think you did a fantastic job. Your synths and your backing tracks and all that just were so cool. And we are going to take this into the lightning round with Mark Rossmore. Feel free to leave your reverb on.
Uh-oh.
So Jennifer and I have a couple questions, and we ask the audience to join us in the lightning round. You can ask anything, any question, and I'm going to start us off by asking, what is your favorite Mark Rossmore breakfast cereal?
I don't like cereal, first of all, but I do love me some breakfast tacos.
Breakfast tacos.
Oh, yeah.
I love it. Jen, any lightning round questions for you?
Okay, I'm stuck on the you don't like cereal. If you had to have cereal, what would you have?
I'll put it this way. I don't like milk, and you can't really have some cereal without milk. So there's that.
You can have cereal without milk.
No, I'll eat like some Cookie Crisp and that kind of stuff. I've had that before.
Okay.
If I had to name a favorite cereal, it'd be Cookie Crisp, because you can eat it naked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we've got Gail getting into the mix on a question here for lightning round. Mm-hmm. Where would you most like to play a concert?
Oh man. I would love to open for Nine Inch Nails or Stabbing Westward, wherever that would happen. That would be a dream come true.
That would.
Yeah. Let's see. Well, I'll be honest. One of my dreams already kind of happened. Like I've been going to Dragon Con for many, many years, and in 2016, I got to play it for the very first time, and that was a dream come true for me. Being on that stage where I've seen so many great bands play, and then me being up there, and then the bands that I love coming up and saying, "Oh, that was great." I was like, I'm living in a surreal world here. This is not happening. I can't believe this.
Yeah, that's awesome. They kind of beat me to the punch. I was going to ask if you could jam with any musician, alive or dead, who would it be?
Wow. I would say Slash, because then I can invite my wife along and she'd be, just let her enjoy the sight. That's all.
Do you ever play any Guns N' Roses for her?
No, I'm not. I wish I could play to that level, man.
All right, gotcha. Jen, any lightning round questions from the audience?
Yeah, what's your favorite movie?
Aliens.
Well, hold on. I have to qualify this. There have been several Alien movies. Are you talking about Aliens directed by Jim Cameron,
Yes.
James Cameron, #2?
Yes, absolutely. Game over, man.
Yeah, that's the old Bill Paxton flick, Sigourney Weaver. Great flick.
Oh yeah, Michael Biehn. Yeah, man, it's fantastic. It's just a perfect combination of action movies, science fiction, great writing, great action. I mean, it's awesome. Can't be
Now, one thing that you taught me was that the what was her name? The Marine, the lady. She was really strong in that movie.
Vasquez.
Vasquez, you taught me, was the mother of John Connor in Terminator 2.
Yes, she was.
I thought that was awesome piece of trivia, and I am a better person for it. Thank you, Mark.
Yes. I've broadened your horizon. Congratulations.
So any other comments, Jen?
What other instruments do you play?
So I started out with bass, and I mean, I got a, that's the granddaddy of all my instruments is the bass guitar. That's where I started out with, and that's also I have it in different formats. Like I've got like a ukulele bass here to U bass, which kind of sounds, I can't plug it in right now, but if you plug it in, it would sound like an upright bass. It's tiny, but it sounds like a full-size double bass. It's awesome. And
now, Mark, come on. I mean, you're being a little modest here. You play almost, if not all, instruments on your albums. Am I right?
Yes, yeah, I do.
And
The way I viewed it. Yeah,
you've got a clip here of you in action, actually. Check this out, audience. If you didn't know, Mark can also play the drums. Oh, multi-talented.
Yeah, I mean, I love all kinds of percussion. If you look in this closet to my right, there's a whole rack of percussion in there. I'm definitely not an expert in any instrument. I kind of view my studio as my instrument, and I learn to play what I have enough to create, the songs that I have in my head to execute them. But I'll never be a Slash or anything like that. But like I said, I love playing around and trying different sounds and seeing where they take me.
So we're going to ask the last question and of the lightning round with Mark Rossmore. Would you rather have the ability to have flight or invisibility?
Oh, flight, of course. I mean, come
on. Any reason why you'd want to fly versus being invisible?
Well, I mean, invisibility. Why would you want to be invisible? I mean, I don't want to go into the depressing thing, but so many people are already invisible. Unfortunately in this world. Flying though, just go places, see new things, experience beauty and all that. There's so many things you could see if you could fly. Up to the top of. I want to have breakfast. I want to have some breakfast tacos at the top of a mountain today. Okay, I go.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
We're so thrilled that you're with us. And Jen, any last words?
Aviation for the win. That's what Eric.
That'll do it. And if you notice, I'm gonna make Mark's video bigger so people can actually see the airship.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you can notice on the bottom right of your screen, you see Airship Hindenburg, American Airlines Incorporated. That's right. So this whole time we've been looking at that and probably didn't even notice. And at this point, I'd like to thank the audience for tuning in.